Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Arcane Assist. This week we're really excited to present our first game of Grymkin, the Wicked Harvest.
At least one of us is excited too.
I'm excited. Grymkin are awesome. I am off a amazing record with Grymkin. I have played almost 100 games of Grymkin, nearly 70 in the CID, and about 30 or 35 post-CID with their official release. Picked up a whole ton of models for the faction at Lock and Load, bought a bunch at my local game store, and we're here to play a game. I'm playing the Child because she had the fewest number of models in her list, and I got them all painted in time.
Yeah, you got them all painted in time.
I had help. We had a whole team of people working on assembling and painting them together, but I got to play them at Tabletop Gaming Expo, a local con last weekend, and I'm going to be playing them on the channel a whole bunch. That's the plan. We've shown off a lot of Ghost Fleet. Now we're going to take a deep dive into the new faction of Grymkin. Because we had such a popular response to the Menoth videos we've been featuring, Evan is going to be playing Menoth today.
Yeah, we got some Kreoss2.
Yeah. So I'll quickly go over the list that I'm playing and the Arcana that I chose for the matchup, and then Evan can talk to you about his Kreoss2 list, which I believe is in theme.
It is.
We're both playing theme forces today. I'm playing the Dark Menagerie, which is a sweet theme force to talk about. My list includes the Child. I have 2 Cage Ragers, 3 Skin and Moans. Those are the 2 heavies available in the faction. And then I have 3 Krabbits, 1 pair that I've paid for, and 1 that is free from my theme force. I also have a minimum unit of the Dread Rots, the Death Knell Battle Engine, and Lady Carriona Rose, along with 4 Gremlin Swarms.
And in my list, in the Exemplar Interdiction force, we have Kreoss2 with his battle group of Fire of Salvation, Devout, and a Redeemer. Fire of Salvation, I haven't really seen on the table a whole lot. I think with Kreoss2, he has a lot going for him. Typically better against infantry swarms because he basically has a berserk button that says I auto-kill everything in my melee that's infantry.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. But also he has Dispel, which in this particular matchup isn't amazing, but it comes in handy in a lot of matchups because screw Storm Walls. Redeemer...
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Redeemer is the only real, other than 20 Errant crossbows, the only real gun in the list. It's kind of just there to incidentally kill support pieces because he does that sometimes. Like, he is the bane of pain givers everywhere. He's the bane of other choir. He just kills support pieces like nobody's business. In this list, he's mostly just going to pick off things like Dreadrots, things like Krabbits.
Yep. Yeah, it seems pretty good. I brought the Arcana trump for her is called Wrath, so that one I have to take. And then the 2 Arcana that I got to choose, because Evan had a largely infantry-based force, I brought Pandemonium, which denies an order that's given in my control area. And the second one I chose was Labyrinth. Traditionally, Menoth have fairly slow armies. There's some positioning problems, so I figured if I could deny 2 points of speed to everything in my control, I could possibly save myself getting double alpha struck.
Basically.
Yeah.
The rest of my list is 2 full units of Errants with UA. The reason I took Errants is a lot of my plan for this list is to win by volume of dice. So I'm going to charge you with Weapon Masters, and they're going to be low POW, but there's a lot of dice that I'm going to be rolling, and it's going to hurt regardless of the fact that they're POW 9. And I'm going to get to do it twice on my feat turn, and they're all just going to hit. I also have to exemplify that theme of the list.
Ayo.
A unit of Knights Exemplar, who will also bear you in dice with their Signs Importance, Mini Feat, and Weapon Master charges.
Yep.
2 Knights Seneschals, which are brutal with the auto-hitting and then the auto-hitting slam away. And something you may not have seen yet in Mark III, or maybe you have, and yeah. Cinerators. Cinerators are in this list because I thought that, since I hadn't seen them on the table yet, I wanted to try them. And I think they're not really all that bad, actually, in Kreoss2, because they get extra attacks with their POW 12 Weapon Masters, which is pretty good. They're magic weapons. They auto-set you on fire. They have Vengeance, and with Kreoss2, they have Inviolable Resolve, so they're arm 19.
We should mention we did end up re-racking this game. We had a really quick one at the beginning where Evan kind of did a bit of a misdeploy, forgetting that Gremlin Swarms have stealth in addition to incorporeal. Tried to take some errant shots, and the game quickly petered out into a gross scenario state. So we re-racked this in the interests of showing off a game that executed full knowledge and wasn't a repeat of what last week's game looked like. So this is a slightly more well-articulated version of that match based on some community feedback.
I also have a Wrack.
Yep.
Yep.
Sometimes the Wrack is pretty clutch. Get that extra point of focus.
Oh, yes. So that's my list. And I think that's about everything, and we're good to go into the game.
It's like a rack joke. Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. And without further ado, here we go. So Grimkin won the die roll and got the first turn. And I have a couple of interesting choices to make. The first thing is I'm going to Apparition my Gremlin Swarms. Now, against armies that have a ton of jacks and limited access to magical attacks, Gremlin Swarms can just be ridiculous. They can rip whole columns off jacks. They can screw up their activations. They can deny them whole charges. They're great at contesting zones. Unfortunately, Evan's army has a lot of magic attacks, a bunch of magic guns on the Errants, and magical melee attacks on the Knights. So I have to be a little bit more careful with them than I would otherwise. My Theme Force benefit makes them FA4 and gives them the Serenity advantage, so they can help with my Fury management a little bit. But mostly I'm looking at them as good pieces to block lanes, screen my heavies, and contest zones. I'm unpacking my list pretty aggressively here. The big cluster of rubble right in front of the zone there makes the side a little bit rough, so I've lined up Skin and Moans in front of it so that they can use their Lurker Animus and be really aggressive. And I've put the Death Knell directly behind them to give everyone that Warmth of the Grave +2 armor buff. See me measuring 5 inches to a Krabbit, who I placed just within 5, so that if Evan chooses to shoot this Cage Rager, who is just within 3 of the Krabbit and ready to threaten this zone, he can be shield guarded by the Krabbit, have the Krabbit take damage, and proc Tantrum, which will allow me to move a model in my battle group 2 inches in my maintenance phase and make a basic melee attack. I put Discord up on a Krabbit, who I stuck in this zone, hoping to maybe run him deep into Evan's lines, deny orders until he deals with it. He's a little bit vulnerable to errant fire there, but I don't mind if he kind of splits his force. Gives me a big line of infantry models to eat with my Skin and Moans. Lady Kiriana moved up and did her remove a fury from everybody in 3 inches thing. And I'm moving the Gremlin Swarms up so that they're not in range to get assaulted and shot within stealth range by the Errants, but they are threatening those zones and possibly protecting the pieces in front of them. And that is Grimkin turn 1.
So I see the Krabbit that Tim has given me up in the top zone. It has Discord on it, and I'm not a huge fan of that getting into my grill and saying, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. So I'm going to pump a couple of errant charges into it, or assaults for that matter, as well as start taking out some Dreadrot, because as they're the least threatening thing on his side of the table, but I'd rather start taking out pieces now as opposed to having to suffer from them later.
Underestimate the Dreadrot at your peril, my friend. They are men with pumpkins for heads. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's why they're getting shot.
There's very little in this army that isn't just a nightmare.
So we're starting with the assaults, starting on the top side. No, we're not. We're starting with Dreadrots. I lied. First one died. Second one made it tough. I blocked line of sight after I realized assaulting. So the other guy that had a shot on that guy doesn't. And then the last guy takes out a Dreadrot.
So you're rapidly filling up my corpse card here. You feel like that's just a thing that's going to happen at some point anyway?
Yeah, there's that. At the time I wasn't really thinking about it. I shot your... Now we're shooting your Krabbit a bunch, and you popped an Arcana.
Yeah, so I popped my Trump Arcana, which is all my war beasts, or all models in my battle group, actually, includes my caster, get +1 Fury, and you kill the Krabbit. I reeve. So the Discord Krabbit dies, but it's okay, because it's going to let everybody be +1 Fury next turn.
Yeah. And at first I thought that this was, like, kind of early for you to pop something like that.
Yeah.
But I realize I'm giving you a lot of models to kill anyway, and, like... As much as in my head I think, oh, that +1 Fury is going to help you kill heavies, it's also another attack bot against a model that you're going to kill regardless. So kill more infantry. Do yo thing. Unit 2 of Errants assaults up, or just runs up in this case. They could assault the Cage Rager, but in the aura from the Death Knell, he's armor 21, and POW 10 is...
You'd rather get the extra distance, jam the zone a bit more.
Jam the zone a bit more, get some good positionings, hold some guys back for next turn. And, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, now my Cinerators move up. They're just positioning so that when you move in to kill the Errants, I can kind of make a bit of a counterplay with them. I'm also moving up with the Redeemer. He just blows up the knockdown Dreadrot and makes some shots. The second one scatters 4 inches forward onto a Crabbit, which I use my only focus from powering up to boost damage on. I believe it's dice off 8 and does 2 points.
Yeah, because that Crabbit is in the Warmth of the Grave aura, unlike the other Crabbit who just got lit up.
Mm-hmm.
Spiked a little bit on the Crabbit you killed with the assault shots, but not enormously. They are only armor 12.
Mm-hmm.
They do drop like flies.
So I have a Seneschal up in the middle of Cinerators. I have a Seneschal down below by the other Exemplar. I also forgot to mention, both of my Errants units popped Purity. I don't think it's going to come into play all that much this game, but I'd rather not have Force Hammers being thrown out to kill multiple models this early in the game.
Sure.
And
That's the mini feat that gives them Spell Ward?
Correct.
Or Sacred Ward, probably even.
Yeah.
Did you put out Inviolable Resolve onto the Cinerators?
I put Inviolable Resolve on the Cinerators. I felt that since I had killed half the Dreadrots anyway, Sacrosanct wasn't going to do much because you don't have many warrior models making attacks. And, I feel like it's important to note that in this list, normally with this many infantry models, you'd get jammed up pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
But Kreoss2 has Tactician Exemplar.
Yeah, that's a big deal. It allowed you to unpack a lot of models that I was like, oh, aren't you going to get kind of stuck in there? And you're like, nope, move through this model. So that's pretty cool. That's in his command of 9 too, right? He's a command 9?
He's got a pretty big command.
That's really effective, actually.
So your turn 2 with +1 Fury to everything.
So because I didn't set myself up for the +1 Fury turn, I do cut for 1 to go to 8. Before that happens, though, Tantrum. I move up 2 inches with the skin and moans here. Just put him into range to threaten a couple of other things and also pull him a little bit out from that cover he was behind, so he's got a more direct lane. I'm probably going to trample him in, see if I can kill some of these Errants. So I've got some interesting choices to make. For one thing, there's a lot of dudes in front of me that I can totally kill. And I want to get kind of cute because the child's pretty effective on this turn. One of the things that I feel like it's a mistake not to make use of is her really incredible Fury 8 stat. This turn she has a 16-inch control area. This turn she has 8 Fury to use. And she also has a magic casting stat of 8 because, again, +2 Fury, or +1 Fury range. The Gremlin Swarms apparate, move up into the zones. Check to see if either of them were in range to walk and do damage to fire. One of them is, the other one's not. Just going to see how effective they can be this turn. I consider running to engage the Redeemer, but then immediately remember that he's protected by a screen of Cinerators who can just free strike and kill incorporeal models. So that plan is no longer on the table. One of the things that I'm playing around here is the self-sacrifice effect on Errants. There's a really interesting interaction here. I charge pretty tightly with the Cage Rager, such that I can kill this guy. If Evan self-sacrifices, I can beat back the guy that I just killed and get into the melee with the other guy. So I'm trying to make sure that I can get 2 Errants. Given that positioning, Evan chooses not to self-sacrifice, and I kill 2 Errants. Pretty acceptable.
Yeah, it's something I had not considered, but it's there.
Yeah, cute. Beatback doesn't come up as often as it used to in Mark II because they changed how it interacts with models. You have to basically still have them on the table to push if you want to follow up. Mm-hmm. But I do get the corpses I need on him. So, Evan made a choice there that he'd rather give me extra Arcane Vortexes than, lose more models, which is probably the right choice. But I got a fully loaded Cage Rager sitting in the zone. He's pretty tanky, so that's something. And time to figure out what the child's going to do.
Yeah, she's kind of terrifying.
She does not have Pathfinder this turn. She has to take damage to have Pathfinder. So she's...
Or cast Lurker.
Yeah, she could cast the Animus, but you did cast... what was it? Not Chasten.
Castigate.
Castigate, so I can't cast Animi. Fortunately, 2 of the Skin and Moans are out of control, but she moves up. She does not cast Lurker. She moves into the rubble. She channels a Force Hammer through the Cage Rager and slams the Knight.
Yep. Who, worth noting, is out of my control, so she can channel through it, because Castigate also prevents channeling.
Yep.
And this is a great way to kill the Knight, because it will do collateral damage, kill the model, and then he'll be knocked down, and then take his damage, which won't heal him.
Yep.
So he will actually die for realsies this time, guys.
And I'm just going to not kill anything else in that zone at all this turn.
Seems reasonable.
Interestingly, because I kill a Knight Exemplar with collateral damage and not with a attack, I also don't trigger Battle Driven on that unit.
Or the model that you slammed.
Yep, yeah. Everything about this play was super cool. I'm really into it. Force Hammer is a sweet spell, and you can get really amazing vectors with it. I also abuse the Skin and Moans, and with the rest of my Fury, I just camp. So I got a pretty good camp going on right now. I boosted the Force Hammer, so I'm camping 3.
Yeah. So this wouldn't have happened without Tantrum.
Yeah, Tantrum is really essential to this play. That 2-inch move is really urgent. Gives me an effective 14-inch threat with the Skin and Moans. I trample with the Skin and Moans, who got Abuse, he got Enrage, he got Given Corpses by the Death Knell's special delivery ability. So he tramples at a super incredible strength, auto-kills all of those Errants. I hit them all. They all die. The Death Knell fills right back up to full after its special delivery. And he's now in range to buy an attack on fire. He is Power Strength base 16, plus 3 from the corpses goes to 19, plus 2 from Enrage goes to 21, plus 2 from Abuse goes to 23, dice plus 4 against Fire of Salvation.
It hurts. So that dub ones for damage that you just saw did 6 damage.
Yep.
And he dies.
Yeah, that's 3 attacks, kills Fire of Salvation. That's about right.
And you have 1 Fury left because you're Fury 5 this turn. So you buy 1 on a Knight.
Yeah.
Something.
An Errant, but yeah. The Errant officer, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Officer? He looks delicious. And you're like, sure, he's dead.
He's very dead.
No need to self-sacrifice for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also feel like this game got a lot of action going much sooner just because I deployed 18 inches up the board because I get plus 2 inches of deployment from my theme. And AD on a bunch of Weapon Masters is cool.
Big deal for Menoth, who I feel like often has trouble being in the zone, is with the Exemplar theme, you basically start in the zone.
Yeah.
So it's really incredible, especially with the Errant army. These Skin and Moans are somewhat the natural predators of Errants, however, with their base mat 7. They're 5s to hit, auto kills damage. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy here kills a whole bunch of Errants and fills himself up on corpses. In terms of just the placement and where the attacks are made, it didn't make a ton of sense for you to self-sacrifice.
No. On one hand, I could self-sack to prevent you from getting a corpse, but on the other, you're going to get those corpses regardless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're basically deciding whether or not the corpse is going to go to the Death Knell or whether the corpse is going to go to the Skin and Moans.
Yeah.
And in a couple of these cases, I think it's the right choice. It's tough to say. Definitely Errants have a lot of counterplay with denying effects, but I feel like Grymkin are pretty robust in the way that they kind of collect their corpses and have their effects.
A Cage Rager walks up.
Yep, Cage Rager just positions to threaten that zone, come in as a second wave. I'm expecting to take a pretty heavy hit to these Skin and Moans this turn. There's a full unit of Cinerators ready to charge me. Kreoss is no slouch himself. The full unit of Knights in the the bottom zone, should I say. It's, there's a potential for pretty significant reprisal here. And I'll have to use my Arcana cleverly to protect my army. Finally, I got a Krabbit. Just moves up. I'm cognizant of the fact that at this point in the game, Evan might try to just go for a Hail Mary on the child. She is camping. As I said, she was on 8. She spent 4 to cast Force Hammer, 2 to cast Abuse. So she's camping 2. So
at the beginning of my turn, I look at the table. This is clearly a feat turn, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Skin and Moans are, base arm 16 goes to 19 with 3 corpses?
correct.
And if they're in Warmth of the Grave, they go to arm 21.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And normally they're kept alive for a very long period of time by their defense of 13, which you're going to completely ignore.
Yep. Because I'm going to feat, I'm going to auto-hit, I'm going to add extra attacks, and you've only killed 1 unit of Weapon Masters, so I'm feeling pretty confident I could kill probably 2 Skin and Moans this turn, and that Cage Rager in the bottom zone. Because by weight of dice, I feel like those Errants swing left, kill a Skin and Moans. Kreoss goes in, kills a Skin and Moans. And maybe the the Errants help Kreoss kill a Skin and Moans, and the Cinerators definitely kill a Skin and Moans. And then the Knights in the bottom probably kill a Cage Rager. But we'll see. I start with Kreoss because I want to feat first, and I expect the child to use her -2 speed Arcana after I charge in to kind of mitigate the damage I'm going to do this turn. And I'm okay with that because I think the Cinerators are going to be in range anyway because they go from speed 4 to 2, but charging fixes that, and having a 2-inch reach helps. It might take the Errants out of the picture, killing that Cage Rager.
Yep.
Or Exemplars.
Knights Exemplar.
Knights Exemplar. But I feel like the Errants can deal with that. So here goes Kreoss on the Cage Rager. Skin and Moans.
I do not pop that effect.
Yes.
Yeah. You charge in, you slam me with your smite ability. It auto hits. You do a pretty reasonable amount of damage.
Yeah, and I keep you in my melee range with that slam because I figure I get base to base with you. You're moved half distance. As long as I don't roll a 5 or a 6, you're still in my melee.
Yep. It's probably a smart gambit.
Yep.
I'm knocked down, limits my options, all those things.
Crush that last damage roll.
Yep.
Leave you on 5 boxes. I want to camp 2 because I'm really far up the table with Kreoss.
Thing is, your dice -7. So that's actually a really reasonable spike. Like, you did quite well on him there.
Yep.
Yeah. Next, we're going to charge with the Seneschal.
So I realize that I can charge through my own models here, and
because of Tactician.
put them on the other side instead. Because I want to try slamming that Skin and Moans into the other Skin and Moans.
Yeah, if he slams into the Skin and Moans, you can be like a double Weapon Master, which is pretty cool. You know, additional die for contacting with collateral and Weapon Master quality. You roll really badly.
Yeah,
on
so
the
you're on
first damage
21.
roll.
I'm dice off 10. I do no damage. I do no damage on the second damage roll. I slam you. You don't go quite far enough to hit the other Skin and Moans, because again, I need a 5 or a 6.
And I managed to stay just in the Warmth of the Grave range.
And just out of my melee range so I don't get my additional attack from the feat. So it was the worst slam distance I could have rolled, and I still don't do any damage with the Seneschal.
Seneschal underwhelmed, I think it's fair to say.
But
he saw his friend go down, and he wasn't feeling it.
So we're here now.
That's full unit of Cinerators to activate.
So they're going to charge some stuff.
Or will they?
Sorry. Redeemer takes 3 pot shots at the knockdown Skin and Moans because
Right.
like 5 boxes, some good rolling can kill it.
Yep.
Leaves it on 1 box.
Yeah, you roll an 11 there.
Yeah.
I
rolled a 10 and 11 for damage and did 4.
Yeah,
or whatever.
That's pretty impressive. You left it on 1 box, which is great. I mean, at this point, just a single love tap from anyone at all, and that Skin and Moans is dead.
Yep. So a lot of my turn here, you're going to see me looking at this bottom zone and figuring out what I can do about these 2 gremlin swarms that are just standing in front of this Cage Rager, blocking my charges with my Knights Exemplar.
Yeah, I mean, you can move through the gremlin swarms because they're incorporeal, but you can't land on them.
Yeah.
So the placement there makes it just a little bit more awkward for you to deal with them. And while your Errants have magical guns, you really want your Errants to be charging that Cage Rager, at least a couple of them. So you have to kind of rely on Errant assault shots working.
Yeah.
And those don't auto-hit this turn. And because the gremlins are annoying, you actually need 8s to hit.
Correct. So I go back and forth between sides of the board because I'm not sure what I want to do. So I charge with some Cinerators. They can go through stuff, so this is cool. That banner there doesn't matter. 3 of them go on the knockdown one, 2 of them go on the top one, just because I feel like I'm going to be able to do enough damage that it'll either die
This is
or...
probably a mistake here. I imagine I should have pandemoniumed to deny the order, but I let them in anyway. And the first one spikes in a huge way, does a huge chunk of damage.
Second attack does nothing.
Second guy's charge attack does nothing. His second attack does nothing. Third guy's charge attack does nothing.
It's dice off 9.
And that was a whole string of 9s.
Yep.
Other Skinamones, charge attack.
Does nothing.
Second attack.
Does nothing. Charge attack does nothing. And last attack does something. Does a couple points.
Yeah.
Cinerators really let me down.
I think we did the math. They rolled about 27 points below average.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a bad time.
They probably should have left one of those Skinamones on 1 or 2 boxes and the other one on like 12 boxes. And they left one of them basically full and the other one on 19.
Yep.
So...
It was a bad time. It was a bad time, guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, shit. Well, now I have to pay attention to where Kreoss is and how there's nothing protecting him from 2 Skinamones.
I mean, there's a bunch of Cinerators in the way.
Right.
And they're not irrelevant to remove.
Okay.
There's definitely that guy on one box that you should make sure we commit something to.
Well, there's an Errant going in.
An Errant? I'll see myself out.
So, charge on a Dreadrat, charge on a Dreadrat, and then a bunch of assault shots on Gremlin Swarms because I really want them to die. Also, this guy's charging a Cage Rager because he can't go anywhere else.
Errants have a pretty impressive command stat of 10 with that banner.
Yeah.
The officer's 8, and the banner gives a +2 inches of command.
It's really good.
So you're able to actually spread them pretty far across the zone. And I'm like, oh, but aren't those 2 guys going to block the charge lanes of the Knights? And you're like, nope, Tactician. Because once again, Tactician, super good on Kreoss.
Roll an 11 to hit on a Gremlin Swarm. Only do 1 point of damage to it. No, this is on the Skin and Bones. Doesn't do the 1 point of damage to the Skin and Bones. He did not kill it. Oh. He did not kill the Skin and Bones. I killed a Dreadrot. And I killed another Dreadrot. And then we started on a Gremlin Swarms. And this one I hit with a 10. And do 1 point of damage to it. And the second guy rolls. Hits with an 11.
Needing 8s to hit ain't nothing, eh?
And kills it. Thankfully, I killed it after after doing 1 point. Second guy misses. Third guy hits. Cranks the damage roll with an 11. Kills it. Boom. And then I rolled really well on nothing because I was just putting my dice down. I was a little salty after that one.
That's fair. I mean, those Errants rolled like bosses to kill those Gremlin Swarms.
It's true.
But my goodness, those Cinerators. It's not even their fault.
Yeah.
Like, the models are fine, the rules are fine. On an average set of dice rolls, they wreck a couple of heavies.
They just didn't this time.
They just didn't.
So we also have my Knight's Exemplar going in. I realize I can only get 3 charges in, so I do. And after I move these models, I realize I charged with the Errant on the Cage Rager and never rolled damage. And since we have to resolve the charge, we do.
Yep, so we move back to that charge attack. I think he's out of Warmth of the Grave range. Is he in range for Kreoss' auto hitting?
He should be.
Right.
Because 14... Yeah.
Okay, so he auto hits, rolls a bucket of damage, and spikes really nicely. Does a good chunk to him, and his second attack does a couple more still. So at dice minus 10, he actually, I think, did 11 damage.
Yeah.
And then we start the Knights. The first Knight with their mini feat does a truckload of damage. Second one does a truckload of damage. And the third one kills the Cage Rager?
Yep.
Yep, that's a dead Cage Rager. He gets to overtake an inch.
So, Cinerator's disappointed. Knights did not. Which seems oddly in line with the status quo. But yeah. I swear Cinerators aren't that bad.
The Knights being able to fix their own dice rolling with the mini feed is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've always really liked that about them.
That said, I didn't even have battle driven.
So you charge with the Devout now. The Devout's going in on that guy who has 1 box.
And killed it.
And manages to finish it. Good
Woo!
job, Devout.
We
You are
don't just
truly
auto die.
Devoted.
I'm gonna.
Oh, come on. This is the faction of dad jokes. I can make a couple of terrible puns.
Yeah, I guess. All right, so that's my turn. I'm glad you forgot to use your Arcana, but we're here now.
I mean, I feel kind of like I did, though. Or it's just like bad things happen, Cinerators.
I mean, it's basically like you used the no charging one without even having to use it.
All right, so rolled a couple fire checks. At least the Cinerators wrote them on fire. One of them goes out. The other one does a couple of points. Nobody's got any aspects crippled. So I reeve and make a threshold test. And the Skinnamon's on the top side of the board here is totally fine. So, that's that. I guess the name of the game here is find a way to kill Kreoss. He's camping 2, and he's got a lot of pieces in the way. So there are a lot of things I have to unjam. The Gremlin Swarms move, and they sabotage the Devout, pulling some of his little bits apart. They aim for the shield, and they do 12 unremovable points of damage to his shield. It's pretty sweet. Gremlin Swarms, heroes.
Unremovable is pretty cool.
It's like Grievous Wounds, but not.
But like permanent Grievous Wounds.
No. It's not like it's only for the round.
Okay.
But it works on a Colossal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Neat.
It only works on Warjacks, but it's a really neat ability. Gremlin Swarms are pretty amazing.
Oh, I feel like it's worth noting that I scored the bottom zone.
You did. You're at 1 point here, and I'm at 0 points still. So, did not upkeep Tantrum. I felt like I needed the transfers more. Probably a mistake in hindsight. I could probably just judge some threat ranges and known that I was safer than I looked. Child moves up a little bit through the rough terrain, and she crit pitches and throws a Cinerator into another Cinerator, knocking the far Cinerator down and opening up a little bit of a lane for that Skinnamon's.
Yep, doesn't do any damage to the collateral Cinerator, though.
Yeah, until she's been actually damaged, she's pretty light on the damage.
Crit pitches the Seneschal as well.
I did boost to find that crit pitch, but she does crit pitch him into a mechanic. Kills a mechanic, knocks him down, and does a bunch of damage, so he's still there but knocked down. Definitely widening that lane, opening it up a little bit more, but the knockdown Cinerator is still definitely in my way. I take a Force Hammer shot, and I slam
Bonk.
the banner, knocking another guy down. So nice open lane to Kreoss. Cinerator still in the way. So the other Skinnamon's activates. He's pretty pinned in there, and he doesn't have melee range to the Cinerator I still need to remove. But he can kill the guys who are possibly causing free strikes for the Skinnamon's who needs to go in. So I kill both of them, and he collects some corpses and buys some attacks and finishes both of them. He ends up spending some corpses to heal and killing the guys to collect the corpses as he goes. So spend a corpse, heal D3, kill a guy, spend a corpse, heal D3. Having a pretty good time there doing that. And now I just have to kill one armed 17 Cinerator with 5 boxes. Shouldn't be that hard, right? Right?
Yeah. Well, you have to do it without that Skinnamon's.
Yeah. I look for the lane, and I definitely would be clipping the child if I came below him, and if I can't trample him because he's a medium base. So it's time to enrage a Crabbit. Lady Cariana moves over. She enrages a Crabbit. Crabbit charges, gets a pretty deep charge, has to pay 1 to charge, but gets out of the lane and gets a damage boost for his trouble. Power Strength 10, Armor
Auto
17,
hitting.
Dice minus 7, roll a 12 to kill. I do 3 points of damage.
2 left.
Sorry, I do 2 points of damage, 3 left.
3
roll
left.
a 10 on 2 dice, which I failed to do. So the Crabbit doesn't quite clear that lane. Second Crabbit comes up. He walks and jumps. So he's got 1 on him for leaping. Auto hits, boost damage. He's only power strength 8. So he's looking at a dice minus 9. And he manages
Crushes it.
to kill the Cinerator. Good job, Krabbits. We can be friends.
So now I have a skin and bones in my face.
He charges. And boosted his first initial attack.
Mm-hmm.
Pain response, so a free charge.
You hit.
Hits Kreoss.
Dice plus 2?
Dice plus
4?
2.
Yeah.
Does a pretty reasonable roll.
I reduce it to 10.
By 5, and it goes down to 10 damage.
Other
That's
one.
a 15 damage roll.
Other one does 11. I reduce it to 6.
Mm-hmm.
2 boxes left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one that did 6.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's your 2 focus spent, but you're still alive with 2 boxes, and I've activated my heavies. My caster's camping nothing. I don't have a lot left to activate here. The death knell is a bit pinned in. It can't quite charge your caster because it has finisher and a boosted attack because of Cav. So I can't get it on you. Cage Rager moves up into the zone a little bit. Just, be relevant, contest some pieces, I guess. It's a zone only a unit can score. So I'm down to the tough decision. What have I got left that can kill Kreoss? Single Dreadrot. Single Dreadrot charges. Mat 6 needs to roll a hard 8 to hit. Rolls the hard 8. Pow 10 Weapon Master. Dice minus 7. 9 on 4 dice.
Needs a 9.
Could happen.
I mean, I didn't do it.
Rolls a 9 exactly.
But you did.
That's it. Hero Dreadrot. Remember when I said you had to kill them earlier?
Yeah, I
Dreadrot
killed all
closes
but
the game.
one.
Can't leave one alive, man. Leave one alive, you're in some deep, deep trouble.
Uh-huh.
So that's our game for the day. I really, really am enjoying the Grimkin. Obviously, the Dark Horse factor is a big part of them. But stay with us if you can, because we're also going to do a little bit of a review of the Muse on Minis Grimkin set, which you saw featured in this video. So John Damaris from Muse on Minis was at Tabletop Gaming Expo the weekend that I was playing Grimkin. So he had the brand new Grimkin token set that they just designed and gave me a set for free. So a couple things in terms of cards on the table. I've used Muse's token sets for a long time. I bought them. They've come to Southern Ontario Open where I played quite a bit, and I know John, and their stuff is pretty awesome. So he said, have a token set and please review it for us. So we're getting stuff for free and talking about it, but he asked us to be honest about the token set, so we're going to do so. Additionally, they may sponsor the channel at some point in the future. We're talking about some kind of a partnership where they either offer free Muse swag to us or to some of our subscribers, possibly. So if that's something you guys would be interested in, like possibly getting some free Muse stuff by liking our channel in the future, let us know. But for the time being, this is our honest accounting of their cool new Grimkin set. So they've got these cool, Arcana symbols, a lot like the mini feat, and then because you've got Old Witch in the faction too, they also have a feat token. The double-sided regular Arcana tokens also serve as mini feat tokens, so some smart use there. Most of the sets in this token set are not double-sided, so all of those upkeeps are Tantrum on one side, Tantrum on both sides, really visually distinctive. Nigel, who designed this set, used a lot of the classic grim and kind of horror themed sort of ideas. So you've got the pentagram with the candles and all the spell effects, the kind of Murder Crow style aesthetic, the hooded mask for all those animi tokens. It's pretty much complete. The corpse tokens are really nice. The one criticism I had of the set that I told John, and I ended up buying a second set because of this, is I really like the style of their corpse tokens, but I definitely needed extra specifically to play Dark Menagerie. I thought that they'd missed the Sorrowful Rampage token, but it turns out it's double-sided with the Enraged token because there's never a way you would need both of those in the same game, which is actually just clever design, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, they've actually done that with a couple of their token sets.
Yeah, it's really smart. I like what they did with this one quite a bit. The tokens themselves are really, really durable. One of the things I like about the Muse tokens is they don't really chip. They hold up really, really nicely. They're that full color acrylic that looks super nice. Especially the ones with pumpkins, the effect ones, non-spell effects. They are really, really easy to read from a distance, which is really useful for us because we do a lot of camera work with them. But it's also really useful in a game because your opponent can look across the table and still read what your token says, which is not something every token set has, and certainly not something that many token sets have on reasonably sized tokens. Because as you saw from the way that the game plays out, a lot of the time I've got 16 tokens on base-to-base large base models.
Yeah.
So it really makes a difference to have them be very, very visible, but also reasonably sized.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate the fact that they're all double-sided, even if sometimes the same side doesn't say the same thing. But like a lot of the times, I put down a random animi token that's going to say the same thing on either side. I can put it down either way, and you're going to know what it is because I'm not going to put it down upside down by accident.
Yeah, and it means you're also not like fussing through all your tokens to find them and not seeing it because it's double-sided with something else. They did like a cost-saving set once upon a time that was double-sided for the whole faction, and it was pretty cleverly put together, but I did find sometimes I was fussing for a long time to pull out my tokens, and I don't mind having a couple more things. As Evan will attest, he has so many war sticks in some games.
War sticks.
It's having lots of tokens is conducive to having lots of things available to you as accessories. I also really like their Fury. Now, as you guys have seen in my games, I use a different Fury for my caster than I do for Fury on beasts or focus on jacks. And that's because I like it to be really obvious how many transfers I have at any given time. But I've been using the wormy apple. It's like a partly eaten apple filled with worms. It's very like grim fairy tale style. It's evocative of like Snow White, but also of the sort of innocence and corruption going on. It's very, very appropriate for the faction.
Yeah, a lot of these are pretty fluffy. Like a lot of the spell effects that aren't upkeeps, like the abuse tokens and the boundless charges, are little pentagrams with candles at each of the corners, which kind of evokes a lot of they're the evil hell faction that's opposing Menoth. Yeah.
There's a little, things that you're not supposed to do in a church type of deal vibe going on. Anyway, I really like the set. The colors are nice. They fit well with the colors I'm already using for my faction, so would strongly recommend getting it. And I gave feedback to Muse about the number of corpse tokens in the set, and John said he'd see if there was more room on the sheet, because that's basically what it comes down to, is how many things they can print on one color acrylic sheet, but thought that there might be, so we'll see if that's a thing that they do. If not, there's a million things you can use for corpse tokens. I'm just particular. It was my judge tag on the forums, the particular judge.
Yeah. My criticism maybe is that the Arcana just say Trump Arcana, Arcana, and Arcana, as opposed to like having a different token for every Arcana.
Do you actually want 17 Arcana tokens in this
No, you probably don't. So that's reasonable. I'm just a little like... It's maybe I'm just unreasonable.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't know. It's a lot of tokens to make, and I wish it were practical. That's the word I was looking for. It's impractical to have that many tokens.
Fair.
But it would be super cool.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things is always the price point versus the like function of the tokens, and I feel like these are super, super functional, and I was pretty impressed with the price point. As I say, I got given a set to review and then was like, I want more corpse tokens, I will buy another set. So
yeah,
they have me as a customer and as a person who's happy to talk about their stuff.
Also that is mitigated if you have those awesome cool Arcana cards that you have, because you just put it on top of that.
Yeah, they were lock and load exclusive, so if you don't have them, just get fucked.
Print them.
Yeah, you can totally print them. The Privateer Press thing lets you print just about anything. They did kind of cool full art ones for lock and load. So
yeah, those
were neat. And I got to pick them up because I was buying Grimkin at lock and load.
Cool.
But yeah, that's our candid, but I think pretty positive review. I've always liked the Muse stuff. One of the things that goes a long way for me is that their customer service is just amazing. I've done business with other companies that produce products like this, and that's not a universally true experience. And certainly I've never had a problem with Muse, and even when I had like a thing where I was like, oh, it's too bad this didn't work out this way, even though it's basically my fault, they've bent over backwards to make sure that I was a super happy customer. So, it's a thing I'm happy to say they do good work.
All right, guys, thank you for watching this video this week. We'll see you Thursday this week for the beginning of our new Vlad 1 series. That'll be happening every other week because we are now on the 2 videos a week train. And that's about it. So see you on Thursday.
Ooh, something new, something different. And please leave a comment below if you can, if you want to see more Grymkin videos, if you're excited about the Vlad video, if you want to see more product reviews like the ones that we're doing here about the kind of things that we actually use in our games. I don't have a lot of interest in product reviewing or receiving sponsorship from anybody that isn't something I would already want to use. So if you've got something you feel like I definitely should use, feel free to bring it to my attention. But otherwise, I'm not interested in just endorsing stuff for its own sake. But thanks a ton, guys. And as we said, see you on Thursday.